You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel.
People trust us. So much of what we do is based on trust. We say that people betray their own side for other reasons. Sometimes they hate their system. Sometimes they don't get the job they want. Sometimes a superior takes their woman or man even. Sometimes they say, to hell with you. But they need the money. None of those reasons are the real reasons. People need secrets. You understand that, Peter? Because it's not only disappointment that drives people to talk to us. They also need a reason to live, to feel that whatever they do is of value, that they are worthy of life. They need to trust in something, in someone. People betray, so that they can trust. It's a small word, but in our world it means everything. Are you following me, Peter?
I'm trying to keep up.
You've not been subtle in your dealings with Moscow. The Duma has not gone away. Neither has the Kremlin. And the KGB has only changed its name. Why not? What they did in the past, they will no doubt do it again in the future.
I'm not sure.
Things do not change, Peter. They stay the same.
Go on.
The old fears are once again rising in the East. Western meddling is causing tension. And even war in parts of the world where you should not be.
My side say they're trying to support democracy.
And how many more must die for it? Revolutions do not arise out of thin air, do they? They must be paid for. We both can guess who is writing the checks these days. Who has the deepest pockets?
Well, yes, be that as it may.
Once the world was split between different ideologies. One side for the capitalists, one for the people.
Well, some might argue if either were ever truly for the people.
But the world today is divided between those that have the resources and those that would like them.
We all have to survive from whatever view one takes.
And investing in regime change is now seen the same as paying for it.
The West may not have covered itself in glory over the last decade or so.
Forcing the Kremlin to fight. It's not clever, Peter. Giving your enemy very few options. You box them in. You have secured the position of the leadership in the eyes of the Russian people and given them an enemy once again to struggle against. You are giving them a cause, a new banner to march behind. The generals once again have vodka in their bellies.
Why are we talking today?
Many in the East are worried about the future. They're worried where your actions will take us, what you will force Moscow to do next. However, you need not concern yourself. Those that act on our behalf will continue to speak to us. We, accordingly, will continue to speak to you.
And for that, London is grateful.
I'm sure. Then let me say this. When our friends in the East put their lives on the line in an attempt to save those on both sides, you cannot be clumsy in your response.
Afraid I do not understand.
If Russian warplanes are sent to fly along your British coast, you should not already have your own warplanes up in the air, waiting for them. It will not take the Russian Air Force long to trace back who knew what, where, and when, as far as its aerial missions are concerned. Russian pilots reporting back that the RAF were in holding patterns waiting for their arrival. You think the Kremlin is stupid? Do you believe they will not work it out? Lives are lost when these things are recognized.
People in the air, you mean?
And on the ground. Unless, that is, giving the game away is what was intended all along.
So Magda thought that whatever she gave to her contact was being fed straight to the Kremlin
It's easy to see why Polish intelligence had their suspicion. Aerial incursions by Russian aircraft followed 2 minutes later by our boys turning up and flying alongside them. I mean, you can see the point she was making. Once is a coincidence, two, good luck maybe on our part, but 3, 4, 5 times you'd have to be fairly trusting not to be suspicious.
So you listened to what she said?
It was the reason for the visit. Our friends in Poland were being very helpful, with the West flexing its muscle then in the Ukraine, those in Eastern Europe were starting to feel distinctly uncomfortable. So they're looking to friends here in the West. With us come the Americans and the Washington shekel.
The missile defense project is safe, surely.
Investment across the board is still very much on. But Warsaw is worried that the US will put its money elsewhere if they believe that the Poles are not playing ball.
They won't do that.
There's only one superpower left. They can do whatever they want.
Assuming, of course, that someone is talking to the Russians.
The Russians that Magda fears will conclude that some of theirs are talking to us. Then behind closed doors there'll be a clampdown. No more leaks. No more being given the wink. The West no longer having an advantage.
What does Magda think Moscow will do?
She thought they would simply put out fake information, see which ones we react to or are already waiting for, and then they'll know who is passing that information on to us.
Right. Oh, what did you do on returning to London? You had to report to those above?
We all do. I reported back to the great Julian Lennox, who surprisingly went from horror to enthusiasm.
Just what we need. Another flaming whistleblower.
Whistleblower is hardly the word. We shouldn't expect to see her concerns published in the public domain.
Yes.
But she might be right.
And it's from this department.
Or anyone else that has access to the information.
A scandal is the last thing we need at this time. Our political overlords are more than happy to drag us through the gutter of public opinion. Russian aircraft flying over the UK, and foreign agents reporting back to Moscow.
Right to the Kremlin, in fact.
Still. Saying all that, if the Reds are to be once again under the bed, the man that looks there and finds them will be the one to survive the inevitable fallout. Can we trust this Polish intelligence officer?
Her name is Magda.
If she is right, and it is this department that unmasks whoever it is, then that person will be seen in very high esteem with the DG. I want a full investigation, but done quietly. Keep it in-house, in the family, as it were.
We could always ask the Intelligence and Security Committee to take a look.
Or bring in the politicians. I'm not giving this to them. Or tell Parliament. I might just as well put bright lights around Vauxhall Bridge saying, "Oh, tell us, tell all." No. We'll need a different approach. I want you to start a rumour. A story. Some chit-chat. Anything that sounds plausible about Russian flights over the Channel and our preparedness to intercept them.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
And whose side are you on?
Well, our side's, obviously, and it's only that we risk alerting someone over here and possibly getting the Russians looking over there.
Then what would be your suggestion?
Let me look into it. Like you said, quietly. I report only to you. No one else should know.
Do that. Take a look. See if this lady is right.
Okay.
One last thing.
Yes?
Make me look good, and I'll make you look good.
Thank you.
So, he didn't get it.
He'd been overlooked for promotion for so long, it was the only thing he ever really thought about.
These days, don't we all? Did you believe him?
He saw the problem purely as an opportunity to be solved, and to re-establish his career on the back of it. Yes, I think I did. People frequently want to believe that what they're doing will eventually count for something, even in this game. We pretend to be hard-bitten men of experience, ready to protect the realm, but that just means we lie awake at night, wondering if we're really just wasting our time. Just counting the days until they bring in the next one to sit behind the same desk or answer the same phone.
And he left it all in your hands.
Seemed only too glad to be shot of the burden. This way, if asked, he could say he had done something. Set up an investigation, wiped his hands of the whole of it.
And if your investigation actually found something?
Well, as you know, there's considerable difference between finding something out and those above you learning that you have found something.
You mean what they don't know?
The public will never learn of.
All institutions are ultimately flawed, you mean?
All institutions are made up of people.
So, it became your job to investigate it. Find out what was going on?
No, it was not my job to discover if DIS were using the information correctly, but to make Lennox look like he had done something about it.
So, what did you do? Make Lennox look good?
I put myself in to see Sir Robert Hammond.
Ah, the Defense Intelligence Staff.
A member of the JIC. Also,
UK representative, the NATO Intelligence Board. Big fish.
going to the top of the tree.
And he agreed to see you?
Oh, people like to talk about their work, or at least complain about it. Another set of ears that will listen is always a nice indulgence for half an hour. Saves you from doing any actual work, at least for a while.
Have they offered you a cup of tea?
They have, Sir Robert.
Almost the only thing we can offer these days. You know, we've lost almost 20% of our London staff.
Yes, I heard that.
Even changed its name from DIS to DI. Another cut from those in Whitehall.
Yes.
I always thought that the threat would come from Johnny Foreigner. I never thought it would come from those fellows in the blasted treasury. The defence of this nation cannot be bought on the cheap. Just because some politicians in the past said let's all be friends, that does not change the situation one jot. We still need to be strong and try and keep them in their place.
Are you thinking of Moscow, Sir Robert?
The Red Bear is finally waking up from a 20-year sleep. It's taken a long look at the new world and decides it no longer likes the lie of the land.
I do understand.
Just so long as you chaps over there in Vauxhall understand that we have a job to do ourselves. The world may not write about defence intelligence, but without us, the Western Alliance will only be a memory.
We all appreciate what you do, Sir Robert, which is one of the reasons I asked to
It's
come in
the
and see
people
you
the
at this
public
point
don't
in-
see, that's what I say. There may not be any medals in our line.
And yet the previous occupant of your position, Sir Robert, is currently in the House of Lords.
Yes, well.
Perhaps you yourself will rise so high?
What is it I can do for those of you from SIS?
As part of your work with NATO, it is your job to brief our counterparts in Europe.
I am aware of what my responsibilities are, sir.
Yes, of course. As part of the information that my service provides to you, you're able to prepare defensive positions and strategies to counter Russian incursions into the Baltic, and even such intrusions closer to home.
RAF planes have been scrambled on more than one occasion. It's no secret. It's even been in the newspapers.
The information that is supplied to you allows countermeasures to be put in place to shadow Russian attack aircraft when they approach Western airspace. Allows your people to place our warplanes in position for when Russian warplanes fly along our coastline.
You do your job, we'll do ours.
Yet, but please understand the danger, Sir Robert.
What danger? I don't see any danger. They play their games, we play ours.
But every time you head them off, as it were, we're closer to Moscow realizing that we may have our people in their ranks.
Then you should do whatever you have to do to protect them.
Yes, you are correct, Sir Robert, and we do try, believe me, but they are in Russia, and we are in Britain. And if we are not careful, they will go quiet and stop telling us where the Russian planes will be next, which won't help you to get to the House of Lords.